Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum, and today we're taking a look at the Russia-Ukraine war, the presence of North Korean military, and that is sparking so much talks right now on the international scene, on the foreign scene. They are like saying the inclusion of North Korea is going to make things worse. And the president of Ukraine did something very, very unusual. Refused to shake the hands of Guterres, the secretary of the UN. He said he refused to do that because the secretary shook hands with Vladimir Putin. That is another talk altogether. We'll bring it on this show. With me here in the studio to talk about this is a political analyst, political affairs commentator, a lecturer in UNIBEN, yes, College of Medical Sciences, right? Join me to welcome Honorable Frank Amego. Appreciate your coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. So via Zoom, we are expecting the likes of Professor Raphael Eyigato. Yes, a political analyst, also a lecturer from UNIBEN, but he's not around right now. He's in Abuja. And of course, we have another legal practitioner, Gabriel Higato. Now may join us via Zoom, still in Abuja. Wonder what is happening in the Federal Capital Territory. Everybody Abuja. Anyway, would that be a talk for another day? An inclusion of the North Koreans into this whole mix. That is what is causing another rift, another kind of talk. People have been talking about it, saying, having various opinions, different views on this particular discourse with North Koreans being invited, or are they there on their own? How do you view the inclusion in this matter?
Yes, the inclusion is negligible in terms of the theater of war before us. That North Korea has sent about 10,000 of their soldiers. I think they actually agreed on 12. They have sent 10. And along that line, it's just like a payback. Russia did that for them when North Korea was having some challenges, kind of a war situation. That was between 1945 and 1948, that they needed some pilots, that Russia had to deploy their own pilots to North Korea to assist them. So it's a common thing in every war situation. And the invitation they got to help them out, it was a clarion call, was that a lot of these Russian soldiers were being killed, especially foot soldiers. So they needed to have a kind of a backup or a replacement. And before then, they did some calculations to the point that enlisting or conscripting people into the military, and by that to fight a war with little or no knowledge, so that to pay off if you just beckon on North Korea, which most times they appear jobless, trying to look for wherever there is a problem to fit themselves in. And the Russian government has agreed to pay each North Korean soldier $2,000 every month. And I won't doubt if North Korean government will actually allow them to have the $2,000. Maybe what we'll get to them will be $100 about that. Because it's a poor country, and Russia is taking advantage of that. And they have some to trade with. They have enough military men on ground to exchange for their poverty. So North Korea being there, to me, will mean little or nothing, because the world has gone so deep and so far to bring in just 10,000. In fact, they have just released their men to be killed.
All right.
Yeah, and along that line also, there's nothing new. It's a common practice in war situations, such that you can have mercenaries, can do all that. But the way they now went about it, Russian government, is to give them their Russian, uniforms, in a way to disguise them as Russians. So maybe there's no need. Since you needed them and you have had them, about 10,000 of them, allow them fit in. So I'm very sure in no distant time, North Korea may want to send more troops.
Want to send more troops?
Yes.
All right, fine. You said it's a common thing that in 1945 or thereabout, the Russians assisted North Koreans when they were fighting this terrible war. Someone like thinking that Russia, as it stands, as a nation, they are known to love war, they are known to love fight. Does it mean that they are being overwhelmed? Why would they ask for assistance from North Korea for them to have 12,000 soldiers to come aid them in the fight against Ukraine, knowing fully well that there is some crimes that haven't they say that the Russians are really promoting Ukrainians in Ukraine?
Yes, just as you are shocked, I was also shocked, embarrassed. I was thinking before now that the way the Russian troops were kind of bombarding the Ukrainian territory, that a time will come very shortly that everybody in Ukraine will raise up their hands in total submission. But from the twist now, it's as if Russia does not have enough ground troops. And as so many they are already conscripted into military with little or no training, have been killed by the Ukrainian forces. So that is why they had to bring in North Korean army. And North Korea is even better off not on ground infantry, but maybe nuclear weapons. So they're using putting a round peg in a square hole or a square peg in a round hole. There's a misnomer along that line. Because it's not yet time for the North Korean military to come in, because it has not led to the use of nuclear weapons. It's like expecting the fish to jump from one tree to the other. So instead you bring a monkey that can jump from a tree to the another tree. So what Russia is showing to the whole world now is not what it seemed like. We were thinking maybe they were overshadowing Ukraine, but it seems not to be so now. It should be Ukraine that is begging for troops, not Russia. And the way it is now, even Russia should have a major advantage, because the US is battling with election coming up anytime from now, and they may not have the needed attention to help them fight the Russian troops. But in the midst of the election coming up in the US, we should be to the advantage, or should have been to the advantage of Russia. They are the ones not begging for help. So with all the noise here and there that you could do this or that, why are we not seeing you do that? So we're not begging a lower nation. I was trying to check the distance between Russia and North Korea. By train, it will take 8 days to travel by train to move from North Korea to Ukraine. And the distance is a little bit above 10,000 kilometers. So why travel that far? You know that there's no beauty in war. Knowing that a lot of your citizens have been killed, no thanks to the hurry in which the way you conscripted them, you have training to go and fight a war. It's not maybe two boys fighting, they tell the policeman to go and help settle the case. But now it's between life and death, outrightly. So Russia is far richer than North Korea, so they prefer to trade with what they have. It's like a trade by barter. And North Korea has enough military personnel to also trade with. That's why the Russian Putin, the president, said he could give each soldier per month $2,000 US, which I earlier said may not get to them like that. So I'm sure Russia is tired.
Russia is tired.
Tired. You're tired.
Why would you say
can't fight the kind of war you wanted, the kind of strategies you deployed did not go well with the practical manifestation in Ukraine. So they're not asking for infantry, ground soldiers. You can't fight by air. Now want to move on the ground. I don't have the men to do that. That's what they're asking. That's why he asked for 12,000. I'm sure they brought the first batch of 10,000, remaining 2 or so. So it is a war that should now end.
All right, but do you think the addition, well, I say the deployment of these 10,000 soldiers from North Korea to Russia to help them execute this war, do you think is going to make any difference?
The difference will be negligible. Because the attempt you're making to fight in such a war that inside of you, you have given up. The giving up is obvious by asking North Korea to send troops to you. You know that if North Korea will not send, you know the implications. But good thing for a while now, North Korea has sent 10,000 soldiers. Why they did not send? Well, after sending the first batch of 10,000, and along the line, they were all killed. What 10,000 couldn't do, is it the remaining 2,000 that will do that? So Russia is even tired. That's on one leg. On the other leg, well, it's clear because U.S. is having the election. That should be an advantage for Russia to do whatever finishing they need to do. But in the midst of U.S. not paying enough attention to Ukraine because of their election, and you still cannot do anything, in the midst of the forthcoming election in the U.S., you are still asking for external bodies to help you fight. It means that you're almost giving up, by my calculations. It means you're almost giving up. If, as the U.S. is not giving Ukraine enough attention now, and Ukraine now understands that, they are going to overpower us, we don't want the war anymore. It should be Ukraine fighting or clamoring for help. You slam someone on the ground, you are seated on his chest, and you are asking people to come and help you. That's what Russia is doing now. You seem to be winning the war over this time. And now you see the person asking for help. The person you are fighting, beating mercilessly, is not crying for help. So that shows the obvious thing that is not well with Russia. It's not.
It's not.
It's not well.
All right, we want to go for a break. When we return, we'll continue with this discussion. Is it really not too well with Russia, according to Honorable Frank Amego, or is just North Korea trying to show solidarity after all the been report of Ukraine also having mercenaries on their side? How true are these reports? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum. We're taking a look at the Russia-Ukraine war, the impact of the presence of North Korean military forces in the war between Russia and Ukraine, if it's going to make any impact. Well, joining us via Zoom all the way from Abuja is Professor Ralph Ehigato. Prof, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. We are at home. This is quite some time.
It's been a while. All right, now for what Honorable Frank talked about, he said it's like Russia is getting tired. That is the reason why they are going to seek help from North Korean military forces. How do you feel about that?
Well, you know that I have to be very careful when I'm talking about Russia because the smallest country, Russia is not good at making. But I have to say that we at the beginning of this war, it was planned for a special operation for 2 weeks, as people do. We have seen that is going to 3 years. We should expect that fatigue will come in because war is very, very expensive to back on. So both human, finance, and a lot of things have gone in, and I can tell you that Russia is running at the top, especially in finances. If not that Russia is a rich country, with all the constructions from them and all that, I don't expect they won't go to this far. And we expect that, I think, peaceful resolution is the best because Ukraine side, they are supported by everybody, every country in the world because of the way they attack Kenya. So that's the thing. So they are looking for help here and there. I was able to recently that They are given some work permit to some African companies to come and live there. They go there, they get there, they give them work. Or you know, they face war. So this is the issue. We should not start war. What you know when we start, the way and manner it will end, we don't know. I'm quite sorry for Russia, though. Russia is a beautiful country, and I love that country. And the way they are now, what's happening, I don't know the end. Let them escape for now.
Prof, I'll come back to you. Well, you heard him. He said other countries are supporting Ukraine. So maybe, just maybe, Russia definitely will go out there to seek help just to balance the trend. You have the likes of France supporting Ukraine. You have the likes of UK supporting Ukraine. You have the likes of Germany supporting Ukraine, because it stands right now, Germany and Ukraine are in a pact of, weapon supply and usage. And now Russia, on the other hand, is trying to, give citizenship to some Africans that want to come in there to help execute the war. Has it got into that yet? Is it that Ukrainians, due to the support that they are getting, is beginning to resist Russia massively, or is just a ploy for North Korea to test the mettle of their own military in a true war situation?
None of this. No, because the support Ukraine is getting is not the human, the military personnel. They could supply you with arms and ammunition, but not to physically bring some soldiers. So truly, Russia has lost a lot of their men and officers. So that is what Putin wants, to bring in more military men to help do the ground fighting. That's what they have lost out. They still have access to nuclear weapons and all that. So none of the countries that is helping to support Ukraine is physically present. And the way Putin is doing it is not that North Korea just wants to support Russia, or let's go and test run a lot of trainings we've had. None of them. Because what Putin is doing is transactional. Give me one man, I'll give you $2,000 per month. Who is that human being, if not for poverty, to say between life and death, $2,000? Because any of the soldiers could die at the day of arrival. They attempt to fight in a terrain that they are not so conversant with. At the time, Russia was kind of helping Ukraine, helping North Korea to train their military. So one would expect that they would have used some of those trainees. But now you're asking North Korea to bring their men in that were not trained. They don't understand that terrain. As I said, the distance apart is more than 10,000 kilometers. And the variation in the terrain is there. So I won't pity the North Korean soldiers, if not for poverty, abject poverty for that. Why would you just risk your life? The fight that does not concern you. The both sides, the leaders have done their transactions. I'm sure they are paying. They would have paid to the North Korean government, which after will be given to them in bits, if at all they will pay them back. Because the poverty in North Korea is palpable. You can even feel it. So the help North Korea is rendering is not help. It's a kind of business. But at the time, 1945 to 1948, when North Korea needed some pilots to help fly their craft and all that, it wasn't transactional. It was just help to rescue the situation. Of course, North Korea will not have the money to pay to Russian government, but the scenario has changed. It's now based on negotiations. I'm sure they would have negotiated from different angles. The Russian government will say, I'll pay $1,000, then the North Korean government will pay $5,000 until they came to a compromise.
So you're saying it's all about business transaction?
Business. Bring your men. One man is $2,000 US.
Okay.
So that's not help anymore.
All right.
That's not help.
So you're saying that is not help anymore?
You are doing business.
Okay, fine. Now, let's get straight down to where Prof is right now. Prof, do you see the UN or US and its allies sanctioning North Korea for supplying soldiers to Russia to execute the war in Ukraine?
North Korea, as a country, they already have the issues with the other part of the world because of the attitude of President Kim Jong-un. And they have been under serious sanction for a very long time. And with what they are doing now, there might be a lot of consequences because you don't just support somebody who is fighting his neighbor for no reason. And you see that North Korea is a country that, according to my friend, said that over there, it's a country that's already and we are trying to make both ends. So this one again may attract more attention from the Western world, especially America and the other part of Europe. Yes, on the issue, I want to say something on the issue of assistance from that Europe country. Officially, there's no other Europe country. I don't deploy men to assist Ukraine, but people are volunteering to go to Ukraine fight. So I'm seeing some skill. Sometimes, they are fighting Ukraine because they felt that what Russia did to Ukraine is not good. And so back on time from everybody from the world, Americans, we have some people from the United Kingdom, and these are people that volunteer, not based on that, oh, I have to pay you for sending. As he said, in war, there's business. Because when you are doing war, when you are fighting war, you share ammunition. When you are fighting war, you get people coming in to support you by way of financing. So there's business aspect of war. That's where we are now because Russia is defeated. Can be fighting war for close to 2 years, and you feel that all those talk of ammunition, and they are still there. They can't be that. So they must have and they're personal too. And this attack on Kurskaya region, called region, is a big blow to Russia because Russia now feeling the impact of the war in their backyard, in their home. I used to call some of my friends in Siberia. I would call them and say, "Oh boy, how are you doing?" He said, "Fine." I will speak to the Kakbaena. I said, "How's the war?" He will tell you that the war is look at me here. That is, the war is far from me. But if I call it these days, I say, "How is the war?" I say, "It's the Adam." That is very close. So they are feeling the part. They are feeling the effect everywhere in Russia now. Because Kursk Rayon, they have everybody will have information here and there from Eastern Europe, Eastern Russia to the Europe after Russia. They have relationship everywhere. No? They are not feeling it. Their grandmother, their grandfather, they are not running their brothers and sisters. So it's not having effect on the Russian citizens.
Now, you say they're not having effect on the Russian citizen because right now Ukraine is attacking the city of Kursk, which is very, very close to, in fact, it's inside Russia. And they also say that people are volunteering to fight for Ukraine against Russia. And there are lots and lots of people from the US, the UK, France, you just name it, on their own. All right, it's not because they don't have, how will I put it now, a physical presence, that they are there already on their own volition just to help out Ukraine to repel Russian forces. And right now, Russia is feeling the impact. Don't forget the incursion of Ukrainians into Russia territory. That was how the war is beginning to change. He said it's going to be framed in Russia, and they are saying the war is getting close to them. Can you say that this is a desperate call by Putin?
Yes, it's desperate. And even in that desperation, North Korean government would not just fold their hands and be watching. Recall that the best of the arsenals will not be deployed to this Russia-Ukraine war. They will bring them. They will bring their best men. This 10,000 soldiers they brought, maybe they are among the list of the weakest of them. Remembering that North Korea, South Korea, they're always ready for themselves. at any time T. And in that occasion, one will expect that Russia should be wary, because North Korea will never field their best soldiers in a war like this, because right beside them is South Korea, that their war is like, in quote, everlasting. So a common reasoning will suggest that North Korea gave Russia the weakest of their men.
The weakest of their men.
Weakest. It's not possible to send out their best when right beside them is another enemy, a strong enemy.
All right.
So it's not possible.
All right. Now, let's get to hear from Barrister Gabriel Ehigato. I told you guys that we have two persons joining via Zoom all the way from Abuja. Barrister Gabriel, it's a pleasure having you joined us via Zoom on International Forum. Now, what do you feel about all this? Russians seeking help from North Korea, because it stands right now, the North Korean troops are in Russia, in Kursk, trying to repel the Ukrainian forces. Barrister Gabriel, over to you. Oh, Barrister, are you there? Okay, we're trying to fine-tune the kinks. Now, let's go to Professor Ehigato Raphael. Prof, as it stands right now, you said people are voluntarily fighting for Ukraine against the Russian. Of course, a sanction is imminent. But as it's also been, I want to put a palpable that somehow the support given to Ukraine at the beginning of this war is no longer there 100% because of the, how would I put it now, the Israel-Hamas-Hezbollah war, and of course the U.S. election that is around the corner. Do you think with the addition of these men from North Korea to be an easy ride for Russian troops?
Yeah, I think it's a strategy, because the publication of the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, that now the election is ongoing, and we don't know who's coming in. Is it Trump or is it Harry? We don't know. So he's trying to more pressure on Ukraine by bringing a moment to first of all save face by driving Ukrainian from Russia. So I believe that he used this window to see if we can get that one. And I don't know the possibility of that. And the issue of war assistance to Ukraine is depleted now because of one reason or other. But the Europeans, they are scared, because only like Poland, Hungary, and co, they might meet the next attack. Even Germany is not safe. So Russia is like a lion in that region. That capability of attacking any country into that region. So they are scared. So they have to do everything possible to curtail Russia. Oh yes, if Russia they win this war, the other part of Europe is in trouble, especially Poland. Remember, if we go back to history, they attacked Poland before, and took part of took Poland from them, and they don't want that to happen. So we are praying that if it don't lead to a bigger war, in the Europe region, here and there, and I have to believe that the US and other Western countries will continue to support Ukraine, but of course otherwise, if they not, if the war is bad signal for Europe and the Western Europe. But I still believe that there might be settlement at the end of the day, because there might not be a winner in this war.
All right. Oh, now, let's get to hear from Barrister. I don't know, Ehigato, are you there? Is he there? Anyway, now let's get to hear from you, Barrister Ehigato. What do you feel about the inclusion of North Korean military in Russia? I believe you've been observing, listening to our discussion. Is it going to change anything, Barrister?
Good afternoon, Mr. Marshall and co-discussor, and good afternoon, Nigerians. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Well, it is clear, it is audible to the deaf and visible to the blind that the North Korea and Russia have same thing in common. It is obvious that the North Korea want their energy, food security, and military welfare to be well secured by Russia. And it is obvious that the Russians also need the weapons and the military trials of the North Korea. And that is what is happening. That is what is happening. As I'm speaking to you, the whole of European nations are in trouble because the war that the United Nations and some other international organizations refuse to intervene, have begun to spread around the crews and nannies of the European region. And it's unfortunate that we have gotten to this stage. But be that as it may, I must tell you the truth. It's a war to finish, and it's a world technological war. It's a war that has to do with supremacy of power. And the combination of Russia and North Korea is going to show there's going to be a big blow to Ukraine. And I don't know what exactly the US are doing about it and the United Nations, because take it or leave it, like it or not, the United States seems to be the head of the United Nations, and they have a big role in all of these political crises that is going on. It is nothing but battle for supremacy, and that is the only thing I can see here. But be that as it may be, the Ukraine military forces need to be re-energized, need to have some level of cooperation from neighboring nations in order to fight, Russia hand to hand and then mat to mat. But be that as it may, the silence of the United Nations and international organizations is actually playing a big role in all of this, war. If they have said anything, if they have come to a round table before now, I'm not sure would have been where we are. A war that started just a few years ago is gradually escalating, and in the next 4 or 5 years, this war may also continue because it is battle for supremacy, and it is not good for our sovereign nation and our international ties.
Much, Barrister Eyigato, though you came in towards the highlight of this show, and that may just be your last comment on this show, but not to worry, subsequently we're going to have a more robust discussion. So we want to extend my thanks also to you, Professor Raphael Eyigato. Thank you so much for being part of this show. I appreciate both of you. As you can see the time right now, our time is up. I appreciate you. Well, Honorable Frank, I really appreciate you also, but 30 seconds. How do you think others will pan out? Because of what Barrister Gabriel Eyigato talked about, he said this thing is spreading. And for North Korea and Russia to come together is going to be a big blow to Ukraine as against what you opine that is like not going to have any impact.
Where we would have had some palpitations, whereby our hearts begin to beat so speedily and very fastly, will be the direct involvement of China. China has been neutral all this while. So North Korea is nothing to me. But if China did what North Korea just did now, then I would have agreed with him totally. So China is not playing any significant role so far. Okay. So I don't expect any escalation of any sort.
All right, thank you so much. That is your last line on this discussion. As it stands right now, China is already carrying out a military drill in the island closest to Taiwan. Do you see a minute attack? That will be talk for another day because China is becoming aggressive towards Taiwan. Gentlemen, I appreciate all of you. Thanks so much for your opinions. We'll do it again next week, Tuesday, God willing. Bye for now.